Welcome to the fitness podcast Beyond the Workout, featuring your host, Coach E, where we give you health and fitness tips that go beyond the gym and help you along your fitness journey. So stay tuned and enjoy the show. Thank you for your interest in this podcast, Beyond the Workout. As a disclaimer, anything you hear in this show from me, Coach E, Eric Dunstan, or any of my guests that is related to health, exercise, nutrition is just that. It's information only. What works specifically for you has to be thoroughly evaluated and checked by a professional, either your physician or a professional personal trainer. Okay, enjoy the show. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to another show of Beyond the Workout. It's me, Coach E, Eric Dunstan, and I hope this show will be something that will be beneficial to you. And this show is centering around ingredients. Not every ingredient you'll read on a label, but some that maybe you should consider and be careful of. And I guess you know that a couple of shows ago, I was emphasizing sugar and I showed you a label of some soda products, and you saw how much sugar was in, grams of sugar was in the soda. And I went on to lay out, how many teaspoons that is. And if you ever do research or listen to people who understand the effects of sugar, you would avoid it, at least minimize your intake. You wouldn't necessarily drink sodas every day. You wouldn't eat cake and candy. You would look at the label for added sugars if you know the effects that it can have on the body, your energy level, your cell, your how your cells work, and your even your fat storage. Now I know I remember a story. I think I was a little kid and I watched a show where this person had cancer, and this guy came in, and this just been like impressed on my mind for all these years. And someone had cancer, and the guy came in and said, "Okay, like no more sugary items. All you're gonna eat are green vegetables and onions." And I was so fascinated by the story. At the time, I didn't understand it, but as they were speaking of this story, I don't know where it's found. I just know as a kid, I was watching it on TV, and they said that when they ate all of those vegetables, just constantly green, dark green vegetables, and the onions, and I don't know if they had meat or not, but their cancer went into remission. Now, over the years, I've been listening to natural doctors, functional medicine doctors, and they always said that cancer loves sugar, or sugar feeds cancer cells. Now, you could do your own research on this and find out for yourself. It's best to be clear on that. Um, and just sometimes the doctors will tell you, no, that's not the case, but maybe you should do your own research and see. They like to give you the medicines, but why not let food be your medicine? And that's what I've been reading, listening to, and understanding. In fact, I was just talking to a friend. I was just checking up on him through messenger, and he says he last year he was diagnosed with multiple myeloma, which is a cancer of the white blood cells. And I just, I didn't try to be a doctor to him. I just asked him how his diet was going, and he said to me that he's trying to increase the amount of vegetables he eats and reduce the amount of red meat he eats. He said, but the problem is bread. He can't get off of bread. And so I just said, well, um, I've heard that, cancer and sugar shouldn't go together. He said, yep, I heard the same thing. So when I thought about it, he's into fitness and he knows this situation. He knows, as well as many people know, that bread is a carbohydrate, a starchy carbohydrate, which is a form of sugar. So if you're going to eat bread or cakes or starchy foods and they're going to form into sugar, isn't it possible that they will actually feed the cancer? So this is where, and I'm believe me, I'm not trying to be a doctor, and I put a disclaimer on my podcast that anything I say here, please don't say, "Oh, well, Coach E said it'll likely work." No, 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 no. Do your research like I've done mine. Listen to people who've done their research, and then make the choices for yourself. The one thing I feel that should be your true medicine is your food, and so that's why I wanted to do this particular show and to emphasize reading your medical labels. If food is your medicine, read the labels of your food and make sure you're having healthier choices or making healthier choices. For example, when you go into a grocery store, the primary area you should focus on is the perimeter of the store. Going down the aisles and buying boxed goods, canned goods that have to have chemical additives in them, that is not necessarily healthy for you. And I just ordered a cookbook that I'm hopefully going to try some recipes on from a guy who's strong on cooking at home, eating out less, but cooking at home because it can be much more healthier. So you really need to find fresh ingredients, cook your things yourself, make your own breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And for me, when I go to work, I bring my food. The only thing I have to do when I go out and work, because I go from place to place when I work, is I have to find a place to warm my food because I don't just do salads and cold foods throughout the day. I have my snacks and I have containers where I can warm the food. Um, and that's not too hard to find in this area. But for you, especially you who are my contemporaries out there, you're 50, 60, 70-year olds, we want to start taking care of our bodies even more so now. There are things we ate when we were younger that maybe we should kind of push to the side. These processed foods, these ultra processed foods. And I am really learning this from the people I've been listening to, the functional medicine doctors, even listening to my naturopathic doctor in the past. Certain things they've told me about. It was funny. I was just telling somebody on my job, I said, one of my naturopathic doctors said sandwiches aren't good for you. And whoever came up with the idea of putting protein in between two pieces of carbohydrate is not wise. It doesn't work well in the digestive tract. I didn't really think much of it, and I kept eating my sandwiches. Now, I don't now eat sandwiches. I don't, it may be on occasion. I won't say don't or never or won't ever. But rarely will you see me eating bread anymore because I found out something about how my body reacted to it, which isn't good. And one show I mentioned about eating rice, and I just remembered what a functional medicine did test on me. And he said, my rice, when I eat rice, it has a cross reaction. And a cross reaction means that the body thinks it's something that it isn't. So I'm gluten sensitive. So when I eat rice, he said my body thinks I'm eating gluten. The body thinks that. When I'm just eating rice, which is a gluten-free uh, gluten-free food. So anyway, I didn't just come on here to talk about sugar again and or gluten. There's another ingredient besides sugar that you will find in many and mostly all processed foods, and even in some supplements too that are deemed to be healthy supplements. And it's called natural flavor. Now, I do remember years ago, my naturopathic doctor telling me that natural flavoring is not good. It's a bad supplement or substance in food. Well, when you look at any package, just go into your pantry and look at your dry goods or even your peanut butters or even in your refrigerator, uh, things that you have that are in bottles or cans, and even your protein powders. Look at them and see, do you see the word natural flavor on it? So I I heard a show talking about it, and I said, well, this is interesting. I want to know a little bit more about it. So I went online and I checked out what are natural flavors, and I want to just read some of the things that it says about that to you. And what the first question is, what are natural flavors? And it mentions in this article that according to the FDA, natural flavors are created from substances extracted from plant or animal sources, such as spices, fruit or fruit juice, vegetables or vegetable juice, uh, editable yeast, herbs, root leaves, any plant material, dairy products, fermented products, and meat, poultry, seafood, and eggs. So the if you want to understand what that means is they say you have this source. Let's just say it's a fruit. Let's just say it's a an apple. As long as it starts with the apple, it can be deemed natural flavor. It could be a natural, it comes from a natural source. So what they do is they heat and roast the animal or the plant or the fruit material and make this flavoring called natural flavors. So, and what they are meant to do is enhance the flavor of foods, but not the nutritional value of it or the of the food or the beverage. So what does the word natural actually mean? Now, what's funny and which is true from most of us when we see the word natural, we think it means healthy, right? And that's why it's easy to pop that on that label as natural flavor. But it says here in the case of a natural flavor, the original source must be a plant or an animal. Or by contrast, the original source of an artificial flavor is synthetic chemical. So if you see artificial flavoring, of course, that's not natural. It was made up in a plant or a lab. But natural flavors has to come from this one source that is a naturally grown ingredient, and then specially trained food chemists known as flavorists, they make this natural flavor. And they have to add a number of chemicals in the lab to enhance or just to take that one natural product and add all these additives in it. And then it can be the ingredient that they put into your food. So the next question that's mentioned in this article I have is, should you consume natural flavors? Well, it says the original source of natural flavors must be plant or animal material. I mentioned that. Uh, however, natural flavors can be highly processed and contain many chemical additives. I mentioned that. But from a health and safety standpoint, what should you focus on? Again, remember I said you should go around the outer perimeter of the store. So the article said you should choose fresh or frozen whole foods whenever possible. So the natural flavor is just designed to tempt you or to and keep you going for more. In fact, I want to play this clip from a lady. I want to. It was a show that I listened to, and she talked about reading food labels, and she gave three things to consider when you read your food labels. And I want to play the clip because it comes from a functional medicine doctor that I listen to a lot, Dr. Mark Hyman. He had this lady on his show, and I was fascinated by what she said. And it started making me look closely at my food labels because I look at food labels and consider how much sugar is in it. And I told you I usually go for the uh, single digit grams of sugar. And my brother said he goes for 0 grams of everything. And in fact, he says even if it says less than 1 gram, he doesn't consume it, which to me is just something you just don't taste. And I don't go to that extreme, but I'm careful about now how much sugar I consume. I rather do without it than to take in something that I feel and know will cause more harm to my body, maybe even in the future. And that's what I said to my friend when I was texting him about sugar, and we both agreed. I said, bread is um, is a form of sugar. It's a carbohydrate that can store in your body and your fat cells. It's a complex sugar, so it's a slow burning sugar. And I told him his life is more important than having that slice of bread or having that roll. And he agreed. He said, on that note, he's going to take it into serious consideration. At least, see what happens with your body when you eat very nutritious food. If you have cancer, I understand. Again, I say I'm not a doctor. I'm not trying to be a doctor, but there are people who have tried certain things and have been successful with it. I had a friend that we were in the same congregation, and she had a form of cancer. She went very, very strong on her nutrition. And I don't know how much chemo she did, but I know she went really strong on her nutrition and her diet and went into remission. So really think about what feeds cancer. Do your research. And like him, if he's going to give up bread, if he's going to give up the starchy products, that's a good start. At least see what happens. He did say being on chemo and trying to be on a tight and strict diet was very hard on him mentally. And I get it. I get it from his standpoint because I haven't experienced it. And I can understand when you struggle to take things out of your life that you love to or enjoy when you especially if it's food, it's really hard. You have to come to that conclusion. You have to see the light at the end of the tunnel. You have to see what the benefit is going to be now. Even if you don't see it, you have to know what it's going to be, and that will push you to go for it. So, uh, I wanted to mention I wanted to play this clip. I keep getting sidetracked. And, I hope you don't mind. I get a little sidetracked on my podcast because I just come here very many times unscripted. It just some things I have like notes and like I have a note here because I wanted to mention what this lady said and not play everything she said, and then and just try to stick to the point and hopefully encourage you to do more to better your health. And so let me just go back to the natural flavoring thing. And if you wanted to listen to this show, I have to plug Mark Hyman because I'm gonna use a clip from his show, and I hope it's okay. But I want to promote this show because it was talking about how to eat healthy on a tight budget. And if you go back and look at the doctor's pharmacy, go back and listen to this show. Listen to the entire thing because a lot of people say, well, I don't want to eat healthy. It's too expensive. Well, your life is more expensive, worth more than the food you're going to be paying for. The price of food, your life, your health is more important than that. So she talked about reading food labels and training yourself to eat real food. And she gave three things, and I'm going to play the clip of the third thing she mentioned. But the first thing she says, ask yourself, what are the ingredients? Is it real food? Um, or is it some chemical or color? Like a color enhancer, like dye number, yellow number 2 or blue number 3. these dyes that they put in to enhance the appearance of color. And then she mentioned one called TBHQ. Now, TBHQ, I tried to figure out how to pronounce that, but if you just put in Google TBHQ, then you yourself can know what that word is and you can check your own ingredients for that. Because she said it's in a lot of foods that we have, a lot of processed foods. And I checked some of the processed foods I have in my house and I didn't see that ingredient. So I didn't want to give too much attention to it because from what I see, I don't have it in my house. But then it could be a hidden ingredient. I don't know. But the one thing she said about TBHQ with it can have cause vision problems, stomach cancer, and behavior problems with children. So you check your label for that TBHQ. Look it up first so you can know how it's fully spelled. Then the second question said to ask yourself: Are are the ingredients nutritious? So some things you won't know because it's a name that we can't pronounce sometimes, like TBHQ. And then we gotta ask ourselves, is it nutritious? Well, we know TBHQ is, and if it causes vision problems, stomach cancer, behavior problems, and other things. So that's not nutritious. So maybe you have to do more research on every item on your food label, which I know you and I wouldn't do that. It's just best to say, let me go toward eating more fresh, whole foods and avoid the processed and ultra processed foods. And that's what I'm trying to encourage you to do. Clean out that pantry. And I got a list, a form that I always send to my clients to do to test out what's in their kitchen. It's called a kitchen makeover questionnaire. And you have to get rid of the stuff. You can't just say, I'm gonna consume it to get rid of it and then won't eat it again later. Just get rid of it, throw it in the trash. So, is it nutritious? If not, why eat them? So, with that, the third one was what I'm gonna play for you right now. So, take a listen to this doctor's um, third point. Here it is.
And then the third question you ask yourself is, where do these ingredients come from? Are they made in a laboratory, in a chemical factory? And in the case of natural flavors that you mentioned, yes, they are. People see the word natural and think it's coming from nature. Yeah, it starts in nature. But the way they manipulate, for example, a strawberry in a laboratory, or they can manipulate some other substance that comes from nature and make it act like a strawberry or taste like a strawberry or create the 1 millionth best part taste of something so that they can put it in a product that normally would not taste good on the shelf that lasts there for, that's 9 to 12 months. They could put it in a product and it would taste like a real strawberry, even though it has no real strawberries in it. And that's what natural flavoring is. And so it tricks your brain into thinking you're eating real food when you're not. But your body is still wondering where the nutrition from that strawberry is coming from. So you start to crave more than you should. And so natural flavors are one of the most evil ingredients, I believe, in our food supply because they trick your brain and they hijack your taste buds and they continue that craving so you eat more than you should. And with obesity, heart disease, and diabetes as our biggest issue in this country, and cancer, we have to take control of our taste buds. And the only way to do that is not to allow the food industry to control them. And so removing natural flavors from your diet is like the number one thing, I think. And it's so, even though there's many more chemicals that are much more harmful to you, almost 99% of the products on product shelves at the grocery store have natural flavors. So if you avoid natural flavor, you avoid many of those. And it's actually one of the reasons I started my company, Truvani. I just want to mention, because there are so many supplement companies out there, protein powder companies and supplement companies that use these natural flavors. And I wanted to create a line of products that were made from real food and non-synthetic substances. It didn't trick your brain into craving a flavor more than it should. I want people to be able to turn off their normal mechanism to crave food.
So I do hope that what she said there was beneficial to you. and give you food for thought, um, thinking about being careful of what you eat, reading your labels, especially something when you read on it, it says natural flavors, natural and artificial flavors. If you have that, if you're reading that, that means it is processed, ultra processed foods. And you notice she said a lot of our supplements have that, and it's true. I've looked at protein powders I have, and it says it right on there, natural flavors. I've had a drinks that I would drink, and they say they're um, good electrolyte drink, good for the body. It says natural flavor. One of them said I was eating something, and it said organic natural flavor. I don't know what that means, but it's like, wow. I mean, throwing that word organic before, does it make it even better? I don't know. So that's something I wanted to share with you all, and I want to continue just with this article real quick to get these last two questions that the article mentioned. And one of the questions was, should you choose natural flavors over artificial flavors? And this was an interesting point because it says it may seem healthier to choose food that contain natural flavors and avoid those with artificial flavors. But in terms of chemical composition, how they're both made up, they're similar. They're almost the same. The chemicals, it says the chemicals in a particular flavor may be naturally derived or synthetic. In fact, artificial flavors sometimes contain fewer chemicals than natural flavors. So, wow, which should you choose? Now, I feel that if it says artificial flavors, no, you shouldn't have it. Now I'm learning if it says natural flavors, no, you shouldn't have it. The best thing to do again is to just go for something you made in your house, trying to avoid the items that you use in your recipes that say um, natural or artificial flavors on it. It is tough, ladies and gentlemen. It is tough to make these decisions, but read your labels and make your own food. And like I say, avoid those things that say natural flavor, artificial flavor. You are a real person. Try to get real whole foods in you. So the last question is, are natural flavors safe? Now, I guess when you listen to what she says, um, they're not nutritious, but are they dangerous? Probably not, because I want to read this fully to you. It says, before natural or artificial flavors can be added to food, they must be evaluated by the FEMA expert panel. Now, those are flavor experts. That's what they are. They have to make sure they meet a certain standard. And those results of their evaluation are published and reported to the FDA, the Food Drug Administration. Now listen to this. It says, if the flavoring meets safety criteria, it can be added to the, now they put this in quotes, generally recognized as safe list of substances that are exempt from further evaluation by the FDA. Generally recognized as safe. Now, I think I missed one thing when I was reading this to you uh, about natural flavors. The problem is if you have uh, a food allergy, what chemical added to that natural flavor could you be allergic to? You might not know because if it's 100 different chemicals, you actually have to contact that food company and say, I need to see the entire list of uh, uh, incentives or additions put into the natural flavoring. I need to see the entire list. But even if you see the entire list, would you know you have an allergy to it? No, unless you went to an allergist and got food tested or allergy tested. But you might know if you eat something and your body has a strange reaction. For example, do you get stuffy? Do your nose start running? Do you like constantly clear your throat? Like, is there mucus buildup? What is your body fighting? Listen to it. It could be fighting something. It could be a food allergy. Take it out, don't eat it, and then see if you still have that problem. Just go for a week and see. Well, man, I haven't had a runny nose when I ate anything. I haven't had mucus build up when I ate anything. But now add that back in. Now, if it occurs, then you're allergic to it somehow. But you might say, well, it tastes good. Well, that's up to you. That is up to you. So, in conclusion, with this, it mentions in addition, most natural flavors determined to be safe through this program have also been reviewed by other international regulatory organizations such as the European Food Safety Authority. Now, that when it talked about through this program, it's the FEMA, the FEMA expert panel program, to confirm the flavoring or the additions or the natural flavors of food being safe. Although, then it adds, although some public interest groups have criticized the FEMA organization for not disclosing information on the safety of natural flavors, most of these flavors are considered safe when consumed in moderation. So that's our big word for the day, moderation. And I will always tell you, it's tough to go 100% zero, never going to touch it again. It's hard on us mentally. And sometimes you don't have to just totally eliminate it. It's not like you're gonna eat this chocolate chip cookie. It says natural flavor on it. You're gonna drop dead. No, that shouldn't happen. I hope it wouldn't happen. So some things, if you have it on occasion, you should be fine. I'll have my sugar. I had said I was never gonna eat chicken again, but I do have chicken on occasion. But it's in moderation. I do have my snacks on occasion. I'm not a health nut, but sometimes I do feel the effects of it. So that's it. You know, just be careful. Read your labels and know that we're all imperfect, and we're going to eat things that are going to disagree with our bodies. We're going to eat things that we truly love. But remember, if it has a allergic reaction, if you have an allergic reaction to it, or if it's deemed not healthy, do not eat it. And I'm gonna tell you, anything that says sucralose in it, which is that Splenda brand, anything that says high fructose corn syrup in it, I'm not touching it. Monosodium glutamate, MSG, I'm not touching it. I've gotten off of my starches and my my breads and all the sugars. I've lowered the sugars, but I've gotten off the starches and I've reached my goal weight. My energy levels are better. I'm starting to sleep better. Now my focus is on getting sleep. And the one of the previous shows I just did for you talked about sleep and working on your circadian rhythm. Go back and listen to it, and stay true to your health, and be wise. So that's what I wanted to come on and do this show about: reading labels, um, reading and making sure you understand what's on those labels. Understanding what natural flavors are, and avoid them if you can. Avoid ultra processed and processed foods. Again, not 100%. I will never tell you 100%. You might look at a potato chip and it might be calling your name. If you can avoid it, kudos to you. If you have a couple of them, that's all right too. So anyway, that's all I wanted to talk about today. And I want to just encourage you all to continue to make great choices about your health. Remember, your life is important. Your health is important. Take care of yourself. Eat wisely. Make food your medicine. Feel better after eating food. Don't feel worse. All right. And if you need to talk to me, you want to hit me up, sit down and just chat. Remember my website, ericdunston.com. If you go there, there's a button in there that says let's chat. And for all of you who have been listening to my show, I appreciate you taking the time to listen. And I want you to share this with my contemporaries, those who are 50, 60, even 70-year-olds. Share it with them. I am closing on that 60-year-old range, and I want to share this. I want them to hear this. I want them to know it's possible to take care of themselves. So I hope you all out there be good, take great care of yourself. And this is Coach E signing out.